Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual NBA Fanatic podcast. Now, today we are into our top 40 out of our top 50 player rankings list. Now, we are headed into the guys who are really just the perennial all-star candidates, the guys that are really knocking on the door of that top 30 cusp, and some guys that can actually make runs at all NBA teams depending on the year. We're going to quickly knock through these next 5 guys in relatively entertaining fashion, so I'm not going to take too long. But number 40, we're going to start our list here with Darius Garland. Now, personally, I love Darius Garland. I think he's one of the best offensive players in the NBA, just period. Maybe one of the top 10 NBA players offensively, as what we saw in 2025. Obviously, the injuries are here, but with Darius Garland, you're just getting extreme levels of offensive polish, whether it's just decision making in terms of like the scoring polish as well, just the skill level, the efficiency that he brings to the game in every single play type, the on and off ball versatility. This dude is just like a poor man's Steve Nash in the modern NBA, and he might be one of the only players in the NBA we can look at as a top 10 passer and a top 10 shooter in the league. That is a really special on-ball combination that you can bring to an NBA squad, and he's bringing it to Los Angeles this season. Now, in terms of Darius Garland, in terms of how he creates his shots on ball, and why he's such an on-ball threat, it's just the elite, absurd handles. He might have top 3 to 5 handles in the NBA period in terms of the speed that he can chain together these counter dribbles, change direction, change up his speed, hunt little crevices and angles. He's got 3-level shot touch, but one of the most elite shooters in the NBA, especially off the dribble, and what he can do, not just killing you on the pull-up 3 in the mid-range as well, just attacking low drop coverage, but what he can do when he's getting downhill, hitting those floaters at such an elite level, and what he can do at the rim for such a small guard. He's got elite speed, and the combination handles, again, just absolutely absurd. But obviously, moving teams to LA, that does change the narrative for how we look onto Darius Garland's second part of his career, really, with all the injuries. But he's only played 19 games in LA. But the fact is, like, this is one of the most impactful offensive players in basketball. Last year in Los Angeles, less than 20 games, but this dude was still a plus 10 on-off swing per cleaning the glass. That is absolutely absurd. A plus 10 on-off swing. And he gave Los Angeles 20 points, 6 assists, 44% on 8 3-point attempts a game. That is really, really absurd stuff from Darius Garland in just a small sample size, as really the offensive 1A as we look into this next season with Kawhi leaving ship. Obviously, there aren't many more efficient lead point guards in the sport, and that is why this dude lands here and one of the best point guards in basketball. And, you know, when we compare him to other point guards, like the difference between Darius Garland and a guy like Trae Young, who I had at number 41, just one spot below in this list, is that Darius Garland has proven to be truly a part of some of the most elite offensive systems as both an on and off ball cog and just an absolutely elite, sustainable advantage creator with just what he can actually do, pressuring the rim as a speed-based driver with all the shooting leverage in the world from every spot on the floor. And obviously now, running his own system in LA, the Clippers have surrounded him with fun offensive talent. So the Clippers could probably post really nice, funky offensive numbers. Like they got Brandon Ingram around and Bennett Mathurin still there. Mathurin applies more of that physical rim pressure towards the rim that Garland can't provide. They still got Keaton Wagler, who they drafted, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Max Strus. Nice catch and shoot guys, nice spot up, close out attackers. That is nice for the environment for Darius Garland. Obviously, just being such a superb offensive talent, we know why he does drop. It's because of the health. It continues to deprive the actual like consistency he needs on the floor. Like the thing is, we haven't seen Garland at an all-star level for really more than a season now. And obviously the offensive efficiency as a ball handler hasn't been the same since 2025, even from last year. But the dude is still one of the most elite pick and roll ball handlers. He's still around the 80th percentile in efficiency in those play types. We know the defensive flaws around Darius Garland's game, but the fact is his offensive game is pretty much flawless to lead out high-level offenses just with that playmaking and the scoring balance and just the polish that he brings to the game. I've got Darius Garland here in my number 40 spot. Moving in though, number 39, we have our first rookie to be hit off the list, Dylan Harper. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 55% effective field goal percentage, hyper efficient for a relatively unskilled pull-up shooting guard. Obviously, all rookie first team last year as well. Those are the only main honors he got. But we are already looking at one of the most elite rim finishing talents in the NBA. We're talking about poise, feel for direction, just feel for contact, being able to change direction, the handle, the polish, the power. It's all there for Dylan Harper already at just 20 years old. And he's up here because of the postseason, really. The fact is, when he was leading the charge at the ball handling helm of efficiency for the San Antonio squad, the best team in the best conference, they didn't hoist the trophy by the end of it because of the matchup against New York. But the fact is, this dude was their second best player in that postseason, and he was their best ball handler on a finals team. And that is absurdly special for a dude this young. In the postseason, again, the production doesn't pop out off the screen, but 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, 56% effective field goal percentage. So he got more efficient because the dude attacks the rim, he attacks the most sustainable looks in the game. And in that final series, he put it all out on display. Nearly 20 a game. He gave you 18, 6, and 3. And in 5 games, as the lead ball handler, really only gave you 6 turnovers. That is absurd maturity as a decision maker. And that just goes into the turnover suppression, the polished decision making, and the fact that this dude is just super valuable already after year 1 as a ball handling commodity. And this is a dude that creates advantages so easily. He's a driving pressure-based attacker. But this dude was absolutely absurd in year 1. And in the highest stakes, in the highest situations, the highest pressure environments, this dude just didn't let up whatsoever. Obviously, the lack of usage and the lack of volume compared to other lead guards, that is the real difference here. He's not putting up the same numbers. He's not trending at the same regular season production or just overall volume of possession and play types like other guys did. Darius Garland, Trae Young, these are all guys with just superb usage rates in terms of hitting that 30+%. Dylan Harper last year was just at 23% in terms of his overall usage rate throughout the season. But we can't actually just take on that. We just have to view his actual individual talent and what he can do with the ball in his hands. And the fact is, there aren't many more relentless downhill attackers in the NBA. And this dude is just super sustainable. And his game is built fully on athleticism. It's built on power, agility, instincts. And in the playoffs, I mean, we're talking about a guy that was giving you 1.12 points per possession on pick and rolls as a guy that really isn't much of a pull-up threat. So he just gets downhill at such a weird rate. And obviously he's got Wembanyama setting a lot of these ball screens. And in terms of the roll gravity and the popping gravity that Wemby, that does alleviate a ton of pressure for Dylan Harper. But I don't want to understate just how amazing this guy is at actually battling his way to the basket with creativity and athleticism. He's just super valuable as well. And then you talk about the defensive value. Like, he doesn't let up defensive value like guys like Trae Young, Darius Garland. Like, this guy's going to provide that. He's a great connected passer as well. This dude's amazing in transition. In the postseason, nearly 5 points a game just in transition that he's giving to San Antonio, relatively, like, mostly off the bench. I just got such high hopes for Dylan Harper. I think he's going to be one of the top 10 players in this NBA within just a few seasons. And he starts off at number 39 on this list. Now, moving on to our third guy today, we have the second rookie and the rookie of the year. We have Cooper Flagg, who put together an incredible rookie season, and he was the best rookie that I had walking away from last season. 21, 7, and 4 on 50% effective field goal percentage, so a lot less efficient, but we know the role and the task duties that he was given the entire season. This is just a superb off-the-charts athlete with off-the-charts versatility as a defender, and the offensive weapon that he provides as well. Like, we talk about the offensive portability of guys like Kevin Durant, but this dude, Cooper Flagg, just brings it in a different way. And it's mainly with what he does and the work that he provides as a literal athlete on and off the ball. You know, when you talk about setting up off the ball, in the post, on the elbows, curling around screens, or whether it's what he does as a cutter, putback, offensive rebounder, in transition, anything that you want, even just an actual screen and roll threat as well, with the dynamic vertical feel that he has, the vertical presence and pressure that he provides at the rim in the dunker spot. Like, this dude is elite already in terms of the portability factor on offense. Defensively, we know what he's going to give you, but it's really the offense that people are going to have a knock at. But I mean, after year 1, you get 21 points a game from a rookie who is relatively raw as a pull-up jump shooter. Like, it is absurd. And like, if you look at the offensive environment that he was playing in, guys like Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Ryan Nembhard, these are the best talents they put around him. This dude was absolutely absurd. I mean, We're talking about a guy that's going to give you 8 to 10 extra points a game just on the margins, like as an active athlete on the floor. Like, we're talking about a guy that can be tasked on ball as heavily as he was. Like, this dude was running 6.5 possessions of pick and roll a game. And that is more than guys like Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brown, Kawhi Leonard. He may not have done it that efficiently, but the dude can actually be tasked with that role and actually can create somewhat healthy shots for a team while still being this absurd off-ball offensive player already. Again, in terms of my criteria points, he meets the portability, he meets the versatility, he can slot into any system, and he can relatively have a pretty great impact in any sort of matchup. And that's where the versatility comes out, especially when we look at a shitty offensive environment that he was put into. Defensively, like, we know the story with Cooper Flagg, like explosive, rangy athleticism, a guy that can cover passing lanes, a guy that can cover the baseline, offer reliable screen navigation as well as a presence guarding pick and roll. Just one of the best and most excellent transition rim protectors that we have in the NBA already. Elite recovery athlete, just the length, all the timing in the world as well. So when he's guarding guys in isolation on the top of the key, he can actually settle back and actually play on his heels, cover the drive, but he has all that length and timing to be able to actually disturb players when they do get into their pull-up jumpers. He's just an extraordinary defensive talent, and that was on display already. So as far as the defensive versatility goes and the defensive impact, this dude already checks that box, but has already done a hell of a lot of work covering a lot of the offensive struggles that we were anticipating for his rookie year. And again, just an exceptional Rookie of the Year campaign. He claims the awards. He had an exceptional year. 4 40-point games from this guy and 11 30-plus point games. That's some stuff that I don't think we would have thought Cooper Flagg would have been capable of in year one, but he proved us all wrong, and I have him here at number 38. Moving on, number 37, though, we have Jaren Jackson Jr. Last year, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2.5 stocks, on 53% effective field goal percentage. Now, again, compared to Cooper Flagg, Jaren Jackson just brings the power game, and he brings the advantageous shot creation piece that Flagg just still doesn't have. And the fact is, Jaren Jackson, he just brings a ton of strength, a ton of size, and he brings actual elite touch shot making when he does hunt his way to that short mid-range section, and that is his designated kill spot. And that's a thing that Cooper Flagg just doesn't have just yet. Obviously, a year prior, we saw Jaren Jackson as an all-star, all-defensive guy in the same year. And obviously, there was a dip down last season in terms of his impact as a scorer. But this is still a super serviceable pick-and-roll roll-man threat. We're talking about a guy, 60% effective field goal percentage in pick-and-roll man possessions because of this guy's ability to space the floor at the top of the key. The ability of this guy to actually have that catch-and-shoot leverage, take bigs off the dribble, and then he has the power game and the momentum game to be able to discombobulate bigs off the dribble. This guy, again, the efficiency as an on-ball scorer as well. It dropped in ISO and post-ups. But nevertheless, for a big man to be able to resort to him with this sort of on-the-dribble game, this dude is pretty nice in a big scope of things. Obviously, what still separates Jaren Jackson from all big men scorers in the NBA compared to guys like Jaren Jackson. So comparing Jaren Jackson Jr. to guys like Alperen Sengun, what does separate him is the dude has elite touch. In terms of like outside the rim, creating against contact, when we talk about a guy with the push shots, the hook shots of both shoulders, the off-angle finishes, overarching finishes, again, just making looks over the power bumps that he has. These are just all deadly weapons in his game. Again, still elite at finishing in that paint and restricted area, and still elite at finishing in the mid-range relative to his size. Jaren Jackson just still impresses the shit out of me, just in terms of what he can actually do, making looks in the toughest zones. And that is really valuable for your half-court bailout offense in the big scheme of things. And when we are doing a top 50 list like this, it is about actual, like, your ability to provide that star power. And this is one of the biggest star traits that you can provide to a team. Defensively as well, again, not the same rim protecting, weak side, shot blocking force that he was, but this dude is still capable of reaching that similar defensive ceiling. And he's still got the strong frame. And again, the rim protection, the instincts, the length, it's still all there. And the key with Jaren Jackson, like we talk about the poor rebounding, again, just 6 rebounds a game for a 7-footer. But the fact is, if you stick Jaren Jackson near like a truly sturdy, just a big physical 5-man, you're going to produce elite defensive team defense. Like whenever paired against with Steven Adams, or heck, even last year, the Jaren Jackson, Zach Edey lineups just allowed 95 points per 100 possessions. That ranked in the 100th percentile of all defensive lineups in the NBA when Memphis threw out just Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey in any lineup. And that is a massive trait. I know they gave up Walker Kessler, but maybe if they can replicate some of that with Yusuf Nurkic, maybe some of that with the big frame that Larry Markkinen brings, it's going to be pretty hard giving up Walker Kessler for that. But Jaren Jackson Jr. can be part of elite team defenses no matter what you think. Obviously, the rebounding, the lack of offensive movement, the skill as a shot maker can fluctuate. He's pretty awful as a playmaker, considering he actually has real live dribble game. That all lowers Triple J. But the fact is, he's a super impactful two-way guy on ball offensively, and then when he can do off the ball as a weak side rim protecting force. I value that so instrumentally, and that's why I do have Jaren Jackson Jr. at number 37. Last guy for today, we'll go fast. Desmond Bane. Last year, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 55% effective field goal percentage. So arguably the most efficient guy that we're going to talk about outside of Darius Garland from today. 48, 39, 91 split. So the dude was nearly 50, 40, 90 in a shitty offensive environment last year in Orlando. But this dude just had instrumental impact on Orlando's offense last year. And he just proved that the trade and the draft hold that they gave up, that was completely worth it. I mean, last year for Orlando, Desmond Bane's arrival improved their offense by 5 points per 100 possessions, according to Clean the Glass. That is elite impact that you're bringing in a year-by-year swing. And when you talk about an extraordinary shooter, a guy that leverages his gravity, like we're talking one of the most, like one of the best movement shooters in the NBA. This is one of the best movement playmakers and connective passes that the game has ever seen, really, what this dude can do in the modern NBA. And last year, again, we talk about a shitty offensive situation where he had some lineups where he was probably the only guy that had credible spacing, like a credible spacing resume on the floor. But this dude was making 43% catch and shoot threes. And in terms of just the spot up looks, handoff actions, this dude was still 80th percentile out of both those actions. And really, if he had just a smarter and more experienced coaching staff, and obviously he's going to get that with Sean Sweeney, like they could have gotten more out of that Paolo Desmond Bane dynamic. And I really just hope that gets magnified more, because that was absolutely absurd when you actually got to watch them play as a two-man partnership. But with what Desmond Bane can unlock for everyone around you, he's just the ultimate ceiling raiser for a team that has struggled and hasn't even made a second round yet in the Paolo Franz era. And in terms of just as a ceiling raiser, again, Paolo and Franz are your floor raisers for this team's foundation. Again, these are the guys that can actually manufacture the looks, break down the defense physically and methodically in terms of actually how they can pressure the rim. But Desmond Bane just unlocks everything as a ceiling raiser because he makes everything easier with the space and the gravity. And in terms of lineups with Paolo out there, they went from -7 to a +3 with just Bane on the floor. That's a 10-point on-off swing with supposedly your best player on the floor. Now, I have Desmond Bane as Orlando's best and most valuable player because I don't think Paolo can do the same stuff that Desmond Bane can do to impact offense. I know in the playoffs it does become a little bit different, but that offensive impact and how much you alleviate, the pressure you alleviate for your teammates, that isn't just by Paolo's ability to drop 40 points in a game. That's from Desmond Bane opening up so many more extra advantages in a postseason environment. So you didn't have the same flashy games that Paolo did in the postseason, but the impact was still there for me. And again, defensively, you're getting, if anything, a plus team defender. You're getting a guy with a high motor, a high physical deterrent on the perimeter. And as far as what he gives you on both ends, from the versatility argument to the portability, those pieces are huge in his argument. And then also Desmond Bane just had a great season overall, a really underrated year overall. And just to encapsulate the year that Desmond Bane put together and the impact he held for Orlando, last year in the biggest rock fight series that we saw in the postseason, Detroit versus Orlando, this guy gave you 25 threes in a 7-game series. He made nearly 4 threes a night on 43% from 3 against the most physical defense in the NBA. Like, that is absurd. And when you talk about the playmaking value, like, obviously the athleticism downhill, they are drawbacks when we are talking about the elite offensive players in the NBA. And they all do tank his on-ball value. But what he actually does off the ball, and the fact that when he does have the ball in his hands, he doesn't turn the ball over, and he doesn't really make mistakes as a decision maker. A lot of the shots he was jacking up in that first round series, like, they were the best shots Orlando was going to get all series. So he doesn't really make mistakes on the ball. And then off the ball, he's just this absolute juggernaut. I've got Desmond Bane at number 36, and I think he is knocking on the door of one of those guys that is a perennial all-star in this league. Now, I appreciate you guys for listening. I hope that episode was relatively fast as we do zoom through, and we are going to be entering into the top 35 guys. The next list are relatively perennial all-star guys, but just to quickly recap, number 40, Darius Garland. Number 39, Dylan Harper. Number 38, Cooper Flagg. Number 37, Jaren Jackson Jr. And ending at 36, we had Desmond Bane. I appreciate you guys for listening. Tune in as we go into the next top 35. Once we get to top 30, I'm actually going to start hitting them off in 10s. So it'll be a bit easier and a bit more fun. But I appreciate you guys for listening for this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.